Super Agent Leigh Steinberg is in town with the Maxwells, and there's a lot of Eagles.
Does it say that on his card? Leigh Steinberg, Super Agent?
I'm not sure. I don't have his business card, but I have talked to him many times, including at the Mall of America at the Super Bowl, where he sat down and met with us, and now he's in our neck of the woods. Leigh, welcome back.
I've been out looking for Nookie, from Boardwalk Empire, and I can't find him anywhere.
Oh, Nookie. See, that has a different
Nookie.
meaning. Leigh, if you said Nookie, that's a different meaning. Nookie.
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. I'm looking for
Nookie.
Nookie
Thompson.
Nookie
Yeah.
Thompson.
Nookie from Boardwalk Empire, because I've been out on the boardwalk.
That's my relative. I'm Pete Thompson, so that's my long-lost cousin right there.
Yeah.
Leigh.
Well, I tell you,
There you go.
you got lucky because the weather's a lot nicer today than it was earlier this week, that you could take a stroll on the boardwalk over there. Obviously, this is a pretty big weekend here. A lot of Eagles up for awards, and it looks like you are sending out some awards to some Eagles, including a guy like Chris Long, I saw was the recipient of one of your awards.
So we give out something called the Steinberg Dana Cola Award, which is for humanitarian service off the field. And it goes to owners, general managers, execs. We hand out awards at the Super Bowl party. And for the last couple of years, we've been doing it here at the Maxwells. And so it honors, last year was Connor Barwin of the Eagles, but someone who's done something outstanding to benefit the community off the field. So Chris Long is incredibly worthy, given that he's taken game checks and given them to educational institutions, worked on water resources. So we're going to give him one with Cosmo De Nicola tonight, and then also Howie Roseman, who is involved in all sorts of different charities, including a number of Eagle ones and Boys and Girls Club and Lemonade Stand and a variety of different things. So, and given the fact that there's a couple thousand rabid Eagle fans that will be in attendance, I think that the awards will be popularly received.
Yeah, there's a lot of Eagle fans. A lot of Eagles, I should say. Carson Wentz, who will not be appearing tonight, but he won the Maxwell, and Doug Peterson, right, also won a Maxwell Award. So you got Howie Roseman and Chris Long both receiving your award. You got Wentz, the quarterback, and you've got Peterson, the head coach.
Well, it just happens that these awards, are held in Atlantic City and heavily Philadelphia attended. In a year that the Eagles finally won the Super Bowl. So these awards are held here every year, but this year is entirely special because of the amazing achievement of the Eagles. So it should be Eagle-laden because they're on top of the world.
Yeah, Leigh Steinberg's with us. Speaking of winning the Super Bowl, Howie Roseman doesn't stop. He made a trade the other day. He just made a trade 5 minutes before you came on the show here. So he's going to receive your award, but he's still working.
It's free agency's coming up. The period for dubbing transition and franchise just happened, and free agency's coming up. But the fact that it starts the 14th really doesn't mean all that much because when I have a free agent, I'm looking a long time before free agency starts as to what the possible teams are. And although official discussions are not supposed to be happening, there's a lot of unofficial discussions that are happening. So the year doesn't really end. It just keeps going. And there are a lot of challenges if you are a Super Bowl winning team to ever repeat because, first of all, everyone wants whoever your free agents are. So Eagle players heavily in demand by other teams. Second of all, every player that you have on your team believes they're uniquely the reason you won the Super Bowl and deserve a new contract. Then you've got the whole endorsement circuit. And then you have the fact that next year every team is keying on you. You're not going to take anybody by surprise. You're the Super Bowl winner. So to hold that together takes you can't sit on the laurels of just having one. If you don't make the requisite moves, someone's going to be gaining on you.
Yeah, and we know in this era of the salary cap, all these teams are trying to position themselves. Like Howie makes a trade today. Torrey Smith goes to Carolina. They get back Darryl Worley. They send $5 million to Carolina, and you get back $500,000. These little moves, maybe Worley's not a piece. Maybe they don't really look at him as a guy they want. But that cap situation is just a new ball game than it was 20 years ago.
So this was put into effect specifically to take a team like the Eagles and stop it from repeating, stop it from building a dynasty. This is the training wheels for the lower, less well-run teams, the teams that don't have great ownership, great administration, great coaching, to force the better teams to give up their hard-won roster and discard players so that the lesser teams have a chance. And so it becomes difficult because you cannot put a team together with a whole offensive line that are Pro Bowlers that all have those big salaries. It forces teams to discard players they otherwise would keep and forces them to constantly be bringing in younger players with lower cap numbers. Having said that, it doesn't work because if it worked, if the salary cap and parity worked, you wouldn't have the New England Patriots year after year in the situation. I wrote a column for Forbes on why the Eagles have a good chance of repeating, and it's because the factors that make winning possible are great stable ownership, which they have with Lurie, a really shrewd front office with a plan, which they have with Roseman, great coaching, which they have with Peterson, and the point is they have a plan. They made the moves last year. They continue to look forward, and they have a core of young signed players, so they ought to be in the hunt now, at least for the next 2 or 3 years.
Leigh Steinberg with us. So, Leigh, how's Howie Roseman evolved as a GM? Because we all know what happened when Chip Kelly was here, but is Howie a different GM than maybe he was the first time around? I mean, I'm not sure how much you dealt with Howie back then, how much you deal with him now, but I'm sure agents talk, and you could probably speak on this topic.
No, he's really good. He's very smart. He's mastered the cap, so he understands instinctively. Imagine a jigsaw puzzle, and you have to be able to put the pieces together in a very complex way. He's whip smart. He understands all those elements. He's good with agents. He's collegial with agents. He has good relationships, and he's able to move quickly. And they understand what it takes to win Eagles style in football, and they're forward-looking. You'll go back and look at the trade for Carson Wentz as, absolutely brilliant, because the hardest thing to find in football is a franchise quarterback, and teams go forever looking. And the point is, it took courage, and then you go back around with Bradford, and you get some of the picks back. So they've done a lot of things that are smart and a lot of things that are right. And 31 of the teams that were looking up. So he evaluates talent well, whether he does it himself or derivatively, but he gets the talent picks well. He makes foresightful moves before he has to, and he's got a keen sense of value for value in making trades and understanding the relationship of draft picks. He's got a plan, which is key.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you about, because you said he mastered the cap, and Of course, he's always been labeled as a numbers guy, but there were a lot of people out there that said he's not a football guy. And, of course, they added Joe Douglas this year, and that helped. But how much does Howie, and you touched on it a little bit, how much does he have that eye for talent? Is he better at spotting talent than people give him credit?
It doesn't matter. I've been an agent for 44 years, okay? I've represented 62 first-round draft picks. I've had the very first pick in the first round 8 times. I've got 11 players in the Hall of Fame. If you put me out on a field and ask me to tell you the difference between quarterback A and B, if it's subtle, I can't do it. But I can get derivative information from people who can, and once I have that information, I'm in good shape. So remember that a general manager or chief executive has scouts and assistant coaches and all sorts of people to help him. Now, maybe Howie can see it with his own eye, but he doesn't have to. You've got, in other words, last year we're looking at quarterbacks, and the people around me tell me Patrick Mahomes is going to pop. Okay. I can't tell you I could see that with my own eye, but I could tell you that as long as the people I trusted felt that way,
right,
and they were the same people that told me that every other high draft pick was there, I went after Patrick Mahomes, and it turned out that he was the second quarterback drafted last year, even though the draft prognosticators kept saying he was the second or third rounder.
And it looks like he's going to be a starter in his second year once the new league year starts. That will most likely be official. Leigh Steinberg is his agent. He's with us. He's in Atlantic City. A couple awards tonight for Eagles players Chris Long and general manager Howie Roseman that Leigh will be presenting to them. Also, I'll tell you, you talk about an eye for talent. My amateur eye would tell me Ron Jones and Chase Linton are two guys that I think that are your guys that I think would be landing. If a team can land those two guys, are going to end up with some pretty good ones.
Ronald Jones gained 1,550 yards last year, and he is explosive. He's what you're used to in SC running backs, all the ones who won the Heisman, in that he's got a great eye for angles. He's got blitzing speed. If he gets loose, he's going to break it, and is done real well. Chase Linton, quarterback from Marshall, is big, strong, can throw all the great passes. Probably would have benefited from another year at school, but so would every quarterback who comes out early. And he's got all the makings of a potential franchise quarterback.
I was impressed with him at the Super Bowl because he was a Florida kid that went to Marshall, but really knew the history of Marshall. Look, he took time to learn about that program. That said something about him.
It does. And at that position, you can spot an alpha male. I mean, for example, we just talked about spotting talent. I had a younger lawyer in my office who told me that Carson Wentz was going to be the best quarterback in the draft. He told it to me, at the end of his the year prior to when he was drafted. So he was no surprise. And again, you can get confused in all of this because of the draft prognosticators, because they will. And they didn't have Carson Wentz, on their board early. But we knew you could. All you had to do is go look at him. Carson Wentz won everybody over with his first 3 throws at the combine. Okay, he came out and zip, and he looked different than every other quarterback. I mean, we had Paxton Lynch that draft, but Carson Wentz looked like a man when among boys. So, you can tell.
Leigh, we'll leave you with this because Howie, who's getting an award tonight from you, is in a tough spot. If you are Nick Foles' agent, what is your offseason like right now?
Well, the first thing you have to start with is what Nick Foles wants, okay? In other words, are there other situations where he could be a starting quarterback, and would they be better for him than, potentially waiting another year and seeing if there are other situations? So, in other words, is he better off going to a franchise that struggles as the starter, or, where he is? So you start with that, and I don't know what's in their minds. But I guess it all depends on what they could get in trade value back for him. Because right now the Eagles are in a beautiful situation. Quarterbacks go down. And what would they have done if not for Foles this year? I mean, they certainly wouldn't have won the Super Bowl. So the Eagles are in a wonderful situation. It's Foles that, is going to have frustrations after what he did. So you're probably trying, in answer to your question, you're probably trying to find the ideal situation and see if you can broker a trade.
We'll see what Howie does. He's got that on his plate. He's been making trades, and tonight at the Maxwells, he will receive a humanitarian award along with Chris Long from Leigh Steinberg, who's been our guest, the longtime agent at Leigh Steinberg on Twitter. Enjoy your stay in Atlantic City, Lee. It was good to catch up with you again.
My pleasure.